What if I told you that every single person in Westeros with King's blood isn't just powerful, but actually the same soul reborn over and over again? Sounds insane, right? But what if all those Targaryens, Baratheons, and even a few unexpected Starks were just different chapters in the same eternal story? And if that's true, what does it mean for the Iron Throne, the prophecies, and the wars we've been watching unfold for years? Buckle up, because this theory will change everything you thought you knew about Game of Thrones. Let's start with the basics. In Westeros, King's blood has always been special. It's the mystical fuel for life, magic, and resurrection, from Melisandre's shadow assassins to the fiery rituals in the House of Black and White. But the deeper truth, this blood isn't just a biological trait, it's a spiritual signature. Every person with King's blood carries a fragment of an ancient soul that has been wandering Westeros for centuries. They're not merely rulers or heirs, they are continuations of the same destiny, the same moral weight, reincarnated into different families, kingdoms, and crises. Consider Rhaegar Targaryen, the charismatic prince, obsessed with prophecy who fathered Jon Snow and died in battle. Is he just a tragic Targaryen prince, or is he the same King's blood soul that existed in Aegon the Conqueror, Robert Baratheon, and maybe even Stannis? Think about it. His obsession with prophecy mirrors the other kings, bloodied rulers, all drawn to destiny like moths to fire. Their mistakes echo each other, their ambitions repeat, and their downfalls feel eerily cyclical. It's almost as if Westeros itself refuses to let this soul escape its grasp. Now here's where it gets insane. Jon Snow. Everyone thinks his story is a one-off heroic arc. The bastard turned savior turned reluctant hero. But he's more than that. His Targaryen blood connects him directly to this eternal line of kings, blood. And his very reluctance to claim power? Classic repetition of the same soul's struggle with ambition versus morality. Each incarnation faces the same test: lead, conquer, or sacrifice. Some fail, some survive, but they're all learning the same ancient lesson, shaped by the same mysterious force guiding the bloodline across generations. And wait, did you notice this? Daenerys Targaryen herself is not just the mother of dragons and a political contender, she's another version of the same king's blooded soul. The fiery ambition, the obsession with destiny, and even the tragic isolation mirror previous incarnations. She repeats the mistakes of the past, a haunting pattern, all the power, all the fire, but always the same choices leading to heartbreak and destruction. And here's the kicker. Her dragons aren't just weapons. They are magical mirrors, amplifying the blood's inherent traits across generations, making each incarnation even more potent and even more doomed. Let's talk about Stannis Baratheon for a second, the stoic, justice-obsessed king who became a shadow of his own ambition. He's often dismissed as a side character, but he perfectly exemplifies the king's blood soul theory. His obsession with law, order, and fulfilling prophecy mirrors Jon, Rhaegar, and even Daenerys. The difference is, he fails spectacularly, and that failure is part of the recurring lesson. Power without wisdom and balance leads to destruction. It's almost like Westeros itself is teaching this reincarnated soul through trial and error. And here's another mind-blowing connection most viewers miss: the Night King. Wait, stick with me. If the king's blooded souls are repeating across generations, the Night King's obsession with Jon Snow and Daenerys takes on a whole new meaning. He isn't just evil, he is the ultimate test for this eternal soul. Each king's blooded incarnation faces an existential threat that forces growth, sacrifice, and moral choices. And the tragic irony? The very power that makes them special is also what puts them in mortal danger, again and again. Now consider the smaller, almost hidden details. Melisandre constantly chasing bloodlines, Thoros resurrecting leaders, and even the shadow assassinations. All of these events aren't random. They are guided by the same ancient energy, pulling these kings, blooded souls, through specific trials. Every ritual, every resurrection, every war is a feedback loop in which the same soul learns, adapts, or fails. And here's where the story gets delightfully twisted. Some incarnations, like Jon, survive to learn, while others, like Rhaegar or Stannis, burn out spectacularly, leaving the cycle ready for the next chapter. And here's a rhetorical question for you. what about prophecy? All those visions, all those cryptic messages about the prince who is promised and the Song of Ice and Fire, could they be less about individuals and more about the eternal soul moving through time? The Targaryens, the Baratheons, the hidden heirs, they are all manifestations of the same energy, appearing when the world needs them most. Each prophecy is like a cosmic curriculum, teaching the soul the cost of ambition, the value of sacrifice, and the fine line between heroism and tragedy. Here's an expectation versus reality moment. We thought Game of Thrones was about politics and family rivalry, but really, politics is just stagecraft. Blood magic, prophecy, and mystical lineage are the puppeteers behind the scenes. Everyone with king's blood isn't just influential. They are the same person trying, failing, and sometimes succeeding to fulfill a purpose that transcends kingdoms. Thrones crumble, armies fall, and yet the soul keeps returning, learning and shaping Westeros in subtle, almost imperceptible ways. And it doesn't stop there. The Starks, often seen as the moral anchors of the story, may be more connected to this cycle than we realize. Bran's mystical knowledge, Arya's adaptability, and Sansa's political cunning all reflect interactions with these recurring Kingsblooded souls. They act as constants in the equations of fate, measuring, testing, and sometimes guiding the eternal soul as it loops through generations. And think about this. What if the seemingly random events we see, the Red Wedding, the Battle of Blackwater, the Long Night, are all tests set by fate for the same soul to navigate over centuries? And here's where it gets even crazier. The climax. Jon, Daenerys, and the Iron Throne. Every culmination of ambition, prophecy, and bloodline is designed to test the king's blooded soul one final time. And what happens? The cycle fractures. The soul doesn't conquer, it doesn't rule, it survives. By stepping away, Jon embodies the ultimate lesson of the pattern. True influence isn't about titles, crowns, or recognition. It's about moral choice, survival, and impact. And every previous incarnation, Rhaegar, Stannis, even Daenerys, echoes in that choice, creating a tapestry of repetition, consequence, and evolution across Westeros. And if that's not wild enough, consider this. Some theorists argue that certain minor characters, the ones we assume are background, are subtly tied to this same king's blooded soul. Maybe it's hidden in their actions, their decisions, their ability to survive moments that should have killed them. And every near death, every chance encounter, is an unseen lesson in this cosmic curriculum. Wait, did you notice this? That red priestess whispering about destiny, that mysterious air, even the lingering mentions of the blood of the dragon, they all reinforce the cycle. Finally, what does this mean for Westeros? If every major player with king's blood is essentially the same soul, the wars, the betrayals, and the ambition, they aren't random. They are iterative tests of morality, leadership, and survival. Thrones rise and fall, but the soul endures. Prophecy, magic, and destiny are less about individuals than about lessons being taught over centuries. And the beauty? You can watch the series again with fresh eyes, seeing patterns, echoes, and connections you never noticed. Jon, Rhaegar, Daenerys, Stannis, all pieces of the same puzzle, moving through time to teach us about power, sacrifice, and the true meaning of legacy. So the final takeaway? Every person with king's blood isn't just special. They are part of a repeating, evolving story, a single soul experiencing triumph, tragedy, and moral tests again and again. And Westeros? Westeros is the stage for that eternal experiment. Crowns are optional, thrones are illusions, but the lessons, the struggles, and the repeated echoes of the king's blooded soul, they are the true story we've been watching all along. And if you think that's the end, remember the next cycle is always waiting, and the soul always returns. Maybe in the next era, the lesson will be different. Maybe the stakes will be higher. Or maybe, just maybe, we'll finally see the ultimate fulfillment of the king's blood. But that, my friends, is a theory for another video.